Okay, boxing fans, I'm going to give you now my prediction on Timothy Bradley versus Juan Manuel Marquez for the WBO welterweight title. I'm not going to go through this prediction like I usually do my others, just because I'm not basing it on a logical standpoint. Basically, I've got a gut instinct on who I'm going to go with, and I'm going to try and base my argument around that gut instinct. It could be totally wrong, and sort of part of me suspects it may be totally wrong, but on the off chance it's correct, I'm going to take all the credit for it. Anyway, back into this fight. Juan Manuel Marquez, he's on the one side of the ring. When you look at his career and his resume, you've got to admit he's never been a huge punching boxer, or to be honest, one that has ever come into the ring in the most impeccable of shape. And when I say that, I mean he's always been in shape, he's always been conditioned to fight. What I'm saying, he's never been in that extra elite level of fitness or that extra elite level of conditioning of the likes of Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, David Haye, people who are experts and just look the part, especially well, and all that obviously changed around when he hired a convicted PED supplier in Angel Heredia as his strength and conditioning coach. Came into his previous fight in the greatest shape of his career, displaying attributes that he's never held really since he campaigned at featherweight, such as power, just destructive power that destroys your opponents. He's never had that at world level since he fought at featherweight. Now, not only that, when you add into account that Marquez flat out refused to take part in VAR testing, you can take that however you want, but all I'm going to say is that's an important point to digest when you're considering that he's employing the Angel Heredia, a guy who is a convicted PED supplier to athletes. He's coming in the greatest shape of his career at the age of 40, and just got new attributes that he's not shown for a very long time. You gotta take that into account, and you can make what you want from it, but I know what I make from it, and I don't like the sounds of it, to be honest. If you look at his opponent, and the opponents is one of the things that I understand is mind-boggling. Timothy Bradley is a very obscure boxer in every aspect of the world, and this is why this is not a straightforward prediction, because this is a hard fight to predict. Timothy Bradley, obscure in every aspect of the word obscure. His attributes are slightly above average. He excels at nothing in particular. I mean, you cannot truly tell me Timothy Bradley excels at one thing or two things or anything. He shows major flaws in almost all of his boxing abilities, such as his complete inability to generate power, unlike Marquez now. He has huge lapses in concentration defensively. He's got a weak mental standpoint. When I say a weak mental standpoint, I mean in his previous fight he went out there saying with a chip on his shoulder, saying, "Look, I can fight, I can generate power, I can be exciting, I'm going to show you people," and he almost got himself knocked unconscious. If you look at the level of Timothy Bradley, I've got to rate him. This is my opinion. If you disagree with it, but you can't really say he's got the greatest resume in the world. He looks like an untested and somewhat protected world champion. If you look at his resume and it's echoed in his resume, his best opponents are basically Lamont Peterson or Devin Alexander. Before the Devin Alexander fight, Alexander got destroyed by Andre Kotelnik, but was given a robbery decision. And since then he's not legitimately beat anyone of substance. Obviously winning a robbery decision against Manny Pacquiao, where I guess you have to agree it would be harsh to give Timothy Bradley more than 3 rounds in that fight. You can't give Bradley more than 3 rounds in that fight, surely not. And then the other fight of significance was the Ruslan Provodnikov fight, where he won again, another controversial decision, where mathematically you've got to wonder how many rounds people gave Ruslan Provodnikov, because the first round was a 10-9 round. Should have been 10-8. If you count the 10-8, then it's harder to give the fight to Bradley, man. You know, the second round was another Provodnikov round. The final round was a 10-8 round, no doubt. So that all of a sudden there's 4 points to Provodnikov, maybe 5 if you give the first one 10-8. So you telling me he didn't win another round throughout that fight? It's another controversial decision for Bradley, though, in a fight where, honestly, Bradley did his best impression of Amir Khan, you know, stumbling around the ring, looking like a punch drunk. And honestly, Bradley owed the referee a lot of gratitude for ignoring the first blatant knockdown, which, you know, actually did make a difference on 2 of the official scorecards. I mean, I'm not talking about my scorecard, I'm not talking about your scorecard, I'm talking about the official scorecards that were 1-1-4, 1-1-3 in favour of Timothy Bradley. You know, that was 2 scorecards that said that. If the first round was scored a 10-8 round, Timothy Bradley loses the fight. You know, Timothy Bradley wouldn't win the fight if that was the case, man. He wouldn't win it, surely not. You know, you could even make an argument for it being ruled a round 1 TKO in favour of Provodnikov, you know. I mean, Bradley could have been counted out trying to get up when he fell over multiple times after the knockdown, doing a good impression of Trevor Berbick, man. But yeah, you know, you get over there, and now you'd think, based on what I've just told you, I'm going to now expect that Juan Manuel Marquez destroys Bradley. But that ain't the case, man. Stars make fights. Bradley has already said that he has learned his lesson from the Provodnikov fight, and he'll be not getting into a brawl. And with what now looks to be such devastating power with Marquez, I think that's a good idea. Now, he said to Marquez that he will not be able to hit what is not there, which suggests he's going to fight a very smart fight on the back foot, keeping both distance and resetting the angles and throwing out a large work rate. And I agree with that. I think that's the best plan that Timothy Bradley can do. You know, Juan Manuel Marquez's best performances have come against punchers, brawlers and fighters who generally come forward and allow him to counterpunch, or basically work most effectively. That's where he works most effectively, when people are coming to him. Good examples, you know, to show my point is like Pacquiao, Kitsidis, you know, Diaz, Casamayor, Pereira, Roque Juarez, all those guys, Juarez in fact. Whereas all of his losses have come against better boxers, you know, Floyd Mayweather, Chris John, Norwood, all these guys, you know, have been able to outbox him by making Marquez come forward. You know, Bradley, he's got the athleticism, the stamina, and the fundamental boxing skills. Power aside, don't count on Bradley's power to pose any problems. But all that aside, athleticism, stamina, you know, work rate, fundamental boxing skills, he's got enough to cause a lot of problems for Marquez. And I don't like, you know, going against Bradley on the decisions, because, you know, even if Bradley loses the fight, he somehow seems to still win. You know, is there going to be third time a charm that he loses a controversial decision? I don't know, man. But yeah, I'm gonna roll with Timothy Bradley by way of decision.